Good morning and welcome. Shall we make our way onto our mats? I'm sure you're already there. So we'll just come into a seat just to begin with. So welcome. How are you feeling today? How are you feeling? I've designed today's class around the dark. And it was a conversation that I had this week with one of my students, and it was around the dark time of year, so coming into winter. And sometimes some of us struggle with the darkness and the shorter days and the longer nights. And she came up with such a beautiful phrase that I've based the class around it. And she called it the blessed dark, which I thought was just beautiful. And actually, I think about the winter and coming into that time of year now quite differently. And I said to Andy, I was like, why am I so tired? And he's like, because we should be hibernating. And I'm like, good point. So this class is maybe for you if you're struggling with some external darkness or maybe something internal. So it could be that you're just feeling a little heavy and life maybe just doesn't feel as easy as sometimes it can. Or maybe it's just as simple as you really struggle with these short days, longer evenings, and just coming into the colder evenings. So it could be the external things that are happening around you, or it could be something that's going on. And we all have our own darkness. We all have our own shadows. We all have those things that we kind of lock away. And we're just going to tap into maybe something that helps us through those times. Just a little bit of movement, some breath work, and just surrendering, but really just trusting and coming back to yourself and knowing that this too shall pass. So this class is for you. I'm sending love from my heart to yours if you are struggling with any kind of darkness. So we're going to begin today's class on our backs. So if you want to make your way onto your back, so you can either be laid out on your mat, or you can be in constructive rest. So fully laid out on the mat or on your back, arms by the side of your body or lower belly, or maybe your heart just needs a little love today. So maybe your left hand comes to your heart and your right hand onto your belly. And you can be in constructive rest, either with the legs hip distance apart or walking the feet wide, allowing the knees, the thighs to roll in. But just tucking your chin slightly towards your chest and snuggling your shoulder blades underneath you as we arrive on our mats. However we're feeling, maybe there is something we're struggling with. And this movement today will help you to maybe see through that and see a little chink of light. And know that the light always returns, as in the seasons, cycles, and just life in general. The light always returns. And focusing on your breath as you breathe in through your nose and down into your belly, feeling it expanding out. Softening on your exhale and just bringing awareness to your breath. Really simple. Not asking anything more of you. Just focus on the in and the out. And just notice how your heart feels today. Notice any discomfort, any feelings that may come up. And just acknowledge those. Just allow them to come up, to be heard, to be felt. And know that we don't have to hold on to those thoughts and things pass. Thinking about the seasons and the cycle of life. And as we come into this season of darkness, of winter, know that in a few weeks, the light will return. Take a nice deep breath in. Long breath out. Another deep breath in. Long breath out. And one more deep breath in. And exhaling all of the breath out of the body. And bringing your left hand to your heart if it's not already there, followed by your right. And keeping the eyes closed. As you're gently holding your heart, know that the light returns. But also the darkness is not to be feared. And sometimes in that darkness, we find something else out about ourselves. Our resilience. And just keep discovering new things, finding our way through. And using our yoga practice, our breath, to help us through these times. The light will return. And you can keep the eyes closed or gently open them as we hug one knee in towards the chest, followed by the other. Having a little rock from side to side, maybe sighing the breath out. Maybe making circles with the knees, really feeling into that lower back. And then we'll take the soles of the feet up to the sky, opening up through the knees, bending into the legs, drawing the knees down towards the earth and really lengthening through the spine, sending your tailbone down. And you can be holding on the back of your thighs, your knees, your calves, ankles, inside arch, outside arch, or wrapping the two fingers around the big toe. Coming into your happy baby, maybe having a little rock, maybe finding stillness. And then drawing the knees back in towards each other, hugging the knees in. And we'll take the knees over to the right, come into a supine twist here, nice and slow and gentle to open up the practice. Gaze can be up or over towards the left arm. And gently come back through center, hug the knees in, find that happy baby once more. And then bring the knees in together, hug the knees into the chest. And take the knees over to the left, find that supine twist. Right arm comes out, gaze up or over to the right. And then gently back through center, finding your happy baby once more. And here you can find stillness or take that movement and closing the eyes or flickering them open. And then draw the knees in. And take the hands behind the back of the thighs. And we're going to roll up into a seat. So just gently rolling up the spine. A couple of times if that feels good for you. All the way up into a seat. And then we're going to come into Siddhasana. I'm going to pop a block underneath my bottom. So bring in your left heel in towards your pelvis, followed by your right. And we'll gently find length in the spine. And we'll float the arms up. Big stretch. Take the gaze up. And then take the hands out in front. Hinging forward, maybe coming onto the hands, or you can stay nice and high on the fingertips. Or maybe hinging forward, coming onto the forearm. Breathe, neck soft. Maybe you walk the hands out a little more. But just come into a place that feels good for your body. And take one more breath. And then gently walking the hands back up towards you. We'll take our right hand to the outside arch of our right foot. We'll come into a little stretch here, drawing the knee in towards the armpit, maybe straightening through the leg, maybe not. Finding a little bit of movement if that feels good for you. Or finding stillness. One more breath. And then we'll tuck that right leg, taking it back behind us, coming into a little deer twist. We'll take the left hand to the right knee, right hand behind, and take a twist. And then coming back through center, we'll bring the right foot back around, and then we're going to tuck that in towards the pelvis and bringing the left foot out in front, swapping over our Siddhasana. Float the arms up. Big stretch. Exhale. Bring the fingertips down to the earth. Now it may feel very different on this side. Start to walk the hands out, but try and keep a tall spine here. And if you find you start to round through, just walk your fingertips back up. Maybe you come through onto palms. Maybe not. Maybe forearms want to come down. Maybe not. Maybe you just stay up nice and high, keeping that length in the spine and feeling that lovely stretch through your left hip. Breathe. And then walking the fingertips back up towards you. Left hand finds the outside arch of the left foot. And we come into that little hip opener on the left side. Maybe the right hand just keeps you balanced a little here. And then you can find stillness, if that feels good for you. Or straightening through the leg, opening up a little to the left. Breathe. And sometimes when it feels uncomfortable, you don't want to force yourself through it. Maybe you just ease off a little. And there's always some discomfort in life, emotionally, physically, mentally. And sometimes we're so hard on ourselves, we'll take one more breath. But actually, if we just ease off just a little and let those feelings come in and pass through, rather than holding on to them and micromanaging them, take the left foot behind, come into that little deer stretch. Right hand to the left knee and twist. I always say it's like opening the front door, letting them in, opening the back door, letting them out. Non-attachment in yogic terms. Hard to do. One of the hardest things is to surrender and just allow it to flow through. And then gently bring yourself back to center. Just take a breath here. Take some movement with the neck, with the shoulders. And then we'll find our way slowly into a tabletop position, coming through onto our knees, finding our alignment, where we'll take a few rounds of cat-cow as we drop the belly. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, round through. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, rounding through. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, rounding through. And then coming back to that nice neutral spine, our tabletop position. We'll drop our elbows where our hands were, forearms parallel to each other. And we're going to walk the knees back a little, just coming into puppy pose, so surrendering down to the earth. Sending the sit bones up to the sky. This is a beautiful surrendering pose. Gently lifting the head, coming forward onto your belly, coming into a Sphinx pose. Just readjust if you need to. Elbows underneath the shoulders. Feet can be nice and wide. Neck soft. Gaze is down. And take one more breath. And we'll take the hands out in front and rest our forehead onto our hands. Gently lifting the head, and we'll walk the hands out off of the mat. Nice and wide here. Maybe coming up onto fingertips, maybe not. Entirely up to you. We're going to tuck the chin, come up into a little cobra flow. Inhale. Roll up. Exhale, release. Find your flow. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. And down. At your own pace. Keep going. Last time. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Curl the toes, press yourself back up onto your knees. Keep those toes curled, and we'll come straight up into a downward dog, lifting up the bottom. Pedaling out one foot and the other. Take your gaze to the top of your mat. Step up, small little steps, crisscrossing over one foot and the other, all the way up into your standing forward bend, folding in. Maybe letting something go here, breathing out of the mouth, sighing it out. Relax the head, elbows, hands to opposite elbows. Have a little sway from side to side. Release the fingertips. Tuck the chin, bend into the knees, roll up to mountain. All the way up to the top. Feet are hip distance apart. Just check in with how you're feeling. Maybe bringing your hands to the heart center. And as we gently move through the practice, know that you're not stuck wherever you are, or if you struggle with the winter and the lack of daylight. We can collectively move through these long nights of darkness. You know, the light always returns. Up comes the sun, and there we are. So let's flow. Take an inhale, lift up, big stretch. Exhale, float down, fold in, forward fold. Inhale to your half lift. Exhale, fold in. Hands to the earth, step back with your right foot into a lunge. Just find your low, just your low lunge. And then we're going to walk the left foot out towards the left, finding your lizard lunge. With your knee lifted here. Doesn't feel great for you, you can absolutely lower that down. Or you can be in your lifted lizard lunge. Gaze down. Breathe. And then walking the left foot over towards the right and coming onto the outer edge of that left foot. We're going to come down into a dipping pigeon and lifting back up. Twice more. Down and back up. And down and back up. Well done. Walk the foot back to center and step back into a downward dog. And let's roll forward into plank or half plank, your choice, nice and strong. And then we'll lower all the way down to the belly. Forehead to the earth. Inhale, roll up cobra. Exhale, release. Curl the toes. Press yourself back up to plank or onto the knees and lift up into a downward dog. Take your gaze to the top of your mat and step up into a standing forward bend, folding in. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold in. Big inhale all the way back up to mountain. Exhale, hands to heart. Take a resting breath. And we'll flow again. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, float down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold in, hands to the earth. Stepping back with your left foot into the lunge. Finding your low lunge. And then walking the right foot out, toes pointing out, hands in line with the arch of the foot, finding your lizard lunge. You can lower the knee here if that feels good for you. Keep the breath nice and even, allow it to guide you, anchor you. And we can do hard things. Walking the right foot over towards the left, coming onto the outside arch. And lowering down the right knee, coming into that dipping pigeon, lifting back up. Lowering down, lifting back up. One more time, lower down, lift back up. Walk the left foot back into center, nice and strong, and step back into a downward dog. Rolling forward into plank or half plank, lower down to the belly. Tuck the chin, inhale, roll up. Cobra, exhale, release. Curl the toes, press up onto your knees or into plank, into downward dog. Find some stillness in your downward dog. Walk the feet nice and wide, toes pointing out, walk the hands back towards the feet. Come into a squat. Heels can be lifted here. But just allow yourself to feel grounded. And just really feeling into those cycles of the seasons. Tuning into nature. Tuning into that ebb and flow. Maybe we start to float the arms up as we feel into that movement of Mother Earth, of the seasons and the light and the darkness. We wouldn't feel so much into the light without the darkness. So we always need that light and shade. And we do discover so much about ourselves during those times of shade or darkness. And I think sometimes we don't need to be so fearful of our shadows. Maybe we just welcome them in. And then we understand them a little more. Walking the feet back in towards each other. We'll come up into a standing forward bend, folding over. And just hang here for a minute, or not an actual minute, just a moment. And we'll come into a half lift. And we'll exhale, fold in. Walk the hands out, coming into a downward dog. Anchor through the left heel. Lift up the right leg into a three-legged dog, stepping the right foot forward into our lunge. You don't have to do this, I'm just adjusting my yoga. We're in that low lunge. And you have a couple of options here. So you can walk your right foot over towards the right, and you can come down into a dipping pigeon. Or if you want to keep moving that right foot out, starting to straighten through, pressing into both hands to begin with, and then start to take the weight into the right as you lift up the left, coming into a fallen triangle. And you can come onto the inside arch of the left foot, lifting the hips up, and then coming back down. And if you can, we're going to come back into a downward dog. Breathe. You can take a rest into extended child's pose if that feels good for you, or you can stay up in your downward dog. But we'll take a couple of resting breaths here. And coming back into your downward dog. Anchoring through your right heel, lifting up the left leg, three-legged dog. Stepping the left foot forward, finding your lunge. And then we're going to walk the left foot out towards the right. And you'll either come down and do a couple of dipping pigeons, or you continue that left foot coming out as it straightens, coming onto the inside arch with the right foot and lifting up the right arm, fallen triangle. Breathe. One more breath. Release the right hand, come on to the tiptoes of the right foot and step back into a downward dog. And we'll anchor through the left heel, lift up the right leg, three-legged dog. Bend into the knee, draw, lowering it down, coming into pigeon. So the right knee is out towards the right heel's in towards the pelvis. You can keep the back toes curled or come on to the top, checking your alignment, ankle and hip. Have a little bit of brightness through the right foot, finding your pigeon. Not an actual pigeon. Anyway. And if you feel good staying here, that lovely opening of the heart, letting the light in. Or maybe you want to come forward a little, where you sink in to that shade, that darkness, and you start to open things up. Maybe you go inwards and you sit with that part of yourself that maybe you keep quiet or locked away. Maybe it's time to Allow that little voice to be heard. And we'll take one more breath. And pressing into the hands, we'll curl the back toes, we'll lift up the knee, and we'll take that right leg all the way back into a three-legged dog, lowering the right foot, finding your downward dog. Anchoring through the right heel, lifting up the left leg, three-legged dog. Draw the navel in as you draw that knee in, up towards the front edge of your mat. And you drop the shin down. Left knee is out, right heel in towards the pelvis as you lower the right leg down. Toes can be curled and you can be here. This may be your pigeon. Up, nice and bright, or maybe you uncurl the toes, you start to lower down. And you get curious about going inwards, about getting quiet, maybe unpicking something. Maybe you sink a little deeper into the shadows. Maybe you start to enjoy the darkness. Maybe we find something new about ourselves. Or maybe this is just about you finding something just to settle into through the winter. Find out something new about yourself, something that you can enjoy doing, or maybe discovering a new way of being. Taking one more breath. And pressing into the hands, curling the back toe, lifting up that knee and sending the left foot back up into a three-legged dog as you lower the left foot down, finding your downward dog. Rolling forward onto your knees, uncurl the toes, come back into a little low kneeling position. Turning the palms up, closing the eyes. Just take a moment here. And then we'll swing the legs out to one side, sending the legs out in front, coming into a little stick pose, finding length in the spine, spreading through the soles of the feet. Take an inhale, lift up, exhale, seated forward fold, find length to begin with. Maybe hands come to the mat, shins, ankles, maybe you're up quite high here. And then start to soften, maybe start to straighten through the legs, going forward. Slowing down. Allowing anything to come up if it comes up for you. Try not to hold on, but just feel those things, those emotions that may come up. Gently curling all the way back up. And we'll come onto our backs, just gently lowering yourself down onto your back. Reaching the arms up, full body stretch. And then we'll take the feet over to the left and the arms over to the left. And just find a side body stretch down the right side of your body. Coming back to center. Feet over to the right, hand and arms over to the right. And coming back to center. And you have a choice here. You can come into fish pose or bridge pose. So I'll take you through fish. So I'm going to take my hands underneath my bottom, pressing in to the forearms, the palms. And I'll just start to gently lift up my chest. So pressing away from the earth. And you may find that being here feels good for you. Or you may like to come into bridge. Or coming into fish, we start to lift up and come on to the crown of the head. Gently release. Take the hands out from underneath. Well, you may have been in bridge where you've been lifted up and holding here. I'm going to gently release down. Hugging the knees in. Taking a happy baby once more. Closing the eyes, finding stillness or having a little bit of movement. And then bringing the soles of the feet together. Come into a reclined butterfly. Readjusting your bottom. Snuggling the shoulder blades underneath you. Hands can be by the side of your body, palms facing up or on the belly, the thighs. Left hand on the heart. Right hand on the belly. And we just surrender here. Just letting something go, gently releasing to the earth. Allowing it to be absorbed. Releasing. And straightening through one leg and the other. Taking any instinctive movement that feels good for you. Taking a nice deep breath in, long breath out. Finding your way into Shavasana. Your comfortable position to rest and relax. And allowing the weight of your body to melt into the earth. and giving yourself permission to rest, to allow the energies from the practice to be absorbed and integrated. And just know that there is always light and darkness. There is the sun and the moon. And we have our lights and we have our shadows. And all are loved and lovable. And I'll leave you for a few moments of silence. And I'll call you back shortly. And gently coming back to your breath. Taking a deeper inhale and a longer exhale. Gently rocking your head from side to side and wiggling your fingers and toes. Circling your wrists and your ankles. And bringing some movement back to your arms and your legs. Reaching the arms up and over and taking a full body stretch. And then gently, slowly making your way back up into your comfortable seat. And taking a soft gaze when you arrive there. And we'll seal in these beautiful, shadowy energies by dropping our hands by the side of our bodies, taking an inhale, lifting up. Bringing the palms together as we bring down that light and shade together, drawing it down to our heart center. Bowing our heads to our hearts and to each other as we give thanks for sharing our light, our shadows, and our energy with each other through today's practice. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really hope you enjoyed the practice. And just know that you are so loved.